Welcome, everyone. This is Rachel M. Colby with Tattoo It on Your Heart, where I invite you to walk it out in your skin. And today I am pleased to introduce you to Mr. Domenick Lasorsa. I've invited him today to share with us about his prior work as the Associate Director of the Veterans Career Program at Paralyzed Veterans of America, and also to share his past work with the National League of Cities. Welcome, Mr. Lasorsa, AKA best man and officiant at my daughter's wedding. Thank you for sharing today.
Yeah, no problem.
So how did you come to and why did you choose to work for Veterans Organization and specifically Paralyzed Veterans of America?
Sure. So I don't know if you know this, but I'm a Navy brat. So I grew up in a military family, moving around the country as my dad served in the Navy for 13 or 14 years active duty, and then finished up his 20 years in the Naval Reserve. So the military has been sort of close to my heart since I was born. You know, just the life I was given and something that I've always been passionate about. And then I also have always had an interest in public service, giving back, helping others. So I don't know, I've always been interested in working in the nonprofit space, and that's sort of been like a guiding principle in my professional career. And so out of college, I did a year of service with AmeriCorps in Arkansas, led me to work for the mayor of Little Rock. And then I came to Washington, D.C. and started working at National League of Cities, where I focused on housing and homelessness for veterans. And then that led me to Paralyzed Veterans of America, which is a true veteran service organization that provides a variety of different services to ill and injured disabled veterans and their families. So the why behind working for PVA is just, I was impressed with the mission of the organization, impressed with how the organization is run, and excited to be a part of a program that was in the midst of growth and change, and got to sort of take a lead on some of that work.
Okay. So can you share a little bit of what you did with them and what kind of programs they offer? What services does Paralyzed Veterans of America offer?
Sure. Yeah. So my role was as the Associate Director of the Veterans Career Program, which is a employment program for veterans, caregivers, and spouses of veterans. And we would work with any veteran, whether they were disabled or not, around the United States. So we had a team of vocational rehab counselors and employment analysts that would work individually one-on-one with service members. You know, I don't work there anymore, but they're still doing amazing work. I'm still close with a lot of the members of the team. And what we always told people that were interested in the program is we had a love, not like approach. You know, we'd work with literally anyone. So the goal being, we wanted to make sure that they could find meaningful employment. I don't know if you know that, I mean, I'm not sure how common it is, but veterans often have challenges finding employment after the service. There's a lot of reasons for it, but some of it's just finding the correct next fit for them once they leave the military. And that's especially the case for veterans who are disabled or injured. So that's a little bit about what my role was. One thing that I did help do, and one thing that I encourage any veteran that watches this video to do, is join the Veterans Career Live program. It's free, online, virtual classes and seminars on all different topics, focused on employment for veterans. So if you want to learn how to write a cover letter or create a resume, or how to deal with interview anxiety, there's a ton of different resources, and you can find a whole bunch of videos that were just released, something that I worked on while I was there, but it didn't end up being completed until after I left. It was just released, I think yesterday or earlier this week. You can find those at pva.org/Veterans Career Live. So it's a bunch of great free resources, and they also have live sessions every week. I can share a little bit more about PVA as well and what the organization does. So Paralyzed Veterans of America was founded by veterans of, I think they just celebrated their 75th year, currently celebrating their 75th year. And it was created by veterans that were paralyzed or disabled during service. So the organization has a whole bunch of different services, from the employment one that I just talked about to a government relations and advocacy team that advocates on the Hill. They're based in Washington, D.C. We've done a ton of work on Capitol Hill, trying to get new bills passed that are supportive of the veteran community, but specifically veterans with disabilities. We have a medical services team that works with the Department of Veterans Affairs to make sure that veterans with disabilities have the best care and access to medical benefits as possible. We have a really cool they have a really cool sports and recreation team. I'm still talking like I still work there, but they have a really cool sports and rec program. They have the National Veterans Wheelchair Games every year where they bring disabled veterans from around the country together to participate in a variety of different sporting events. So those are some of the great programs. I mean, and if veterans are watching this or interested in getting involved, there are different chapters around the country. So the national headquarters is in Washington, D.C., but there is a chapter in most states, or at least one close by.
That is awesome information. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, you said your focus at the National League for Cities was on affordable housing and homelessness for veterans and their families. Can you share why there's a need for housing for veterans and how this effort is going?
Sure. Yeah. So National League of Cities is just a little bit of background on the organization. That organization is it's an association of elected officials from around the country. In some of the cities that we worked with, we're dealing with a lot of housing and homelessness issues with veterans. There's a ton of different reasons that housing and homelessness are a problem. One being just the housing costs are very high around the country. The other is some of the different disabilities that veterans deal with after serving, such as PTSD and other physical disabilities as well. So, homelessness, it's obviously still an issue. I think the COVID pandemic has sort of exasperated it a little bit. It's gotten worse around major cities. And so we used to advocate on behalf of cities and veterans to provide more services. So one of the cool programs that I was a part of when I was at National League of Cities is we worked with a great organization out of Statesville, Georgia, called Purple Heart Homes, which is founded by two, I think they're Marines or Army veterans, I can't remember, but they set it up after they came home from Iraq, and they had gotten blown up over there and came home and wanted to provide housing and housing support to other veterans that served. So we used to work with them and city leaders to create programs to repair or rehab aging veterans' homes. So I traveled around the country working with, veterans and city leaders to try and build out these programs. So that was a really great program that they did. And Purple Heart Homes is still doing great work.
Hey, that's awesome. Other than affordable housing, what are some of the, and help with career, like a new career, what are some of the needs of veterans that you'd like to highlight?
Sure. So housing and homelessness is definitely a big one. I think that's sort of the root need of change. And then employment obviously is part of that. So then I think there's some challenges with the different options that veterans know about. This is something that I noticed in my time working at PVA, is that veterans don't know of all of the different resources available to them. So through their healthcare, through the VA, and through other different partnerships or organizations, there's tons of veteran organizations. And if veterans are willing to ask and reach out, there's a lot of different support available for them. Some of the issues, I don't know too many off the top of my head that I'd like to touch on here. I just encourage any veteran who watches this or reads this article to search online for support when they need it. I know suicide is a huge issue for veterans, PTSD and other disabilities that come up. So ask for help. There's a lot of different resources out there through both the Department of the VA and other nonprofit organizations. And there's oftentimes a nonprofit organization in your city willing to help. So one statistic I will share, and I'm not sure it's still 100% true, but 50% of veterans who, when they leave the service, stay in the same city that they were last serving in, and the other 50% move back home. So I encourage them to find the support in their communities. There really is a lot of different great organizations out there willing to help.
Okay. Any you want to mention, or?
I mentioned Purple Heart Homes.
Okay.
They're a great organization. There's Travis Manion Foundation. There's Wounded Warrior Project. There's Disabled American Veterans. If you're a student, you're a young veteran, you're using your GI Bill, there's the Student Veterans of America. That's a great organization. These are some of the big ones on the national level. Like I said, I don't know all of the ones in local cities, but those are some of the big ones that come to mind. All of them are great. They all have support. There's the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Get involved. That's what I learned. Every veteran that I've talked to that was part of these organizations have found people that they can relate to. And I think that's a good way to get yourself situated into your new surroundings.
Okay. How are you continuing to support veterans other than being nice to your dad, right?
Yeah, no. So I still support like my colleagues over at PVA. My current position, I work for an organization called US Ignite. We have a program that works with smart bases. We try and provide new and high-tech technology to the military bases. So we have some work going on there. And then in my spare time, whenever I can, I haven't done it as much lately with COVID. The same stuff hasn't been happening, but going out and supporting any sort of these causes around me when I can. There's also one other cool program I just thought of, Habitat for Humanity, which is a great organization for everyone, but they have a veterans build program, and definitely a great organization to donate to if you're interested in, or reach out to and become a part of.
Right. My husband used to work for them for 5 years.
For Habitat for Humanity?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
he's a foreman for them.
Cool. Yeah. I know like the director of Veterans Build very well. He's a really good dude, and they do a lot of amazing work. So like I said, there's just a ton of different organizations that do this work.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions of how the American people, just your average civilian citizen, and our government, two separate entities really,
Yeah.
Can better support our veterans, just from the simple to the complex, just any ideas to show support?
Yeah, I think American citizens can just be grateful and thankful to veterans that have served. I know Veterans Day is coming up in a couple of days. Say thank you, be respectful, honor them, donate. Donate money if you can, if you have it, extra money. There's great organizations that really truly need that money to provide veterans who are struggling or suffering support. So that's the American people. Your average citizen, that's what I would ask. See somebody in a uniform, tell them that you're grateful for their service, that you see them, that you recognize them. The government, that's a pretty loaded question. There's a lot of different things. There's average citizens, if you're into the politics, there's always a ton of bills going through the government focused on veterans health care. And one thing lobby the government to pass those bills. I guess that's what I would say. Encourage your local leaders to provide support for veterans. That's a tough question.
It's okay. You can think on it. You can send me a note later.
Okay.
Do you have a story, an event, a particular veteran, something in particular that impacted you that you'd like to share?
Sure. When I read your questions, I came up with two of them.
Okay.
One was when I worked at National League of Cities. I told you we worked in that repair program. I was in Pensacola, Florida, and we had just completely redone a bathroom and walkway for an elderly veteran. He'd been living in sort of a dilapidated house for the last 10 years without any money to fix it. So we came in and we worked with the community. We had some local donors and Purple Heart Homes, and we were able to, repair his house so he could get in and out of the shower safely and use his bathroom and fix the floor. So that's something that I'll always remember. It was one of those like really surreal moments where you got to see all the work that he'd been doing on paper actually put into practice. And so we were really able to help him. And that's just one of many veterans that we were able to support through that kind of work. And, like I just mentioned about donating, that's where that money can go. And it really is going to impact people. The other one is a little bit more recent from my time at Paralyzed Veterans of America. There's a veteran named Charlie, and we helped him. He was injured in a car accident, paralyzed from like the chest down, and we were able to help him find employment. And I got to do an interview with him, sort of like you're doing with me right now, asking him about, his time working with the Veterans Career Program and why he liked being a member of the Paralyzed Veterans of America. And he just said, like, he just kept saying, we gave him a chance to be part of a community again and able to work and feel like he can provide for his family, something that he hadn't felt in 10 years. So that's something I'll never forget, and really shows like just if you do the work, how great the outcomes can be.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing. I have one more question for you, surprise.
Ooh, surprise question, sure.
As a child of a veteran,
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything you would say to the American people, how they can support, whether that's schools, cities, neighbors, support military kids, and just any message for the kids themselves, those military kids out there?
Sure. This is just from my perspective, and I don't know if it's everything, but it's just military families have a lot going on in their lives, especially when parents are gone for large sums of their young kids' lives. So, be open and willing and friendly to those families. And my one message to military kids, especially the young ones that are in the moves every 18 months, you'll be, I don't know if grateful is not the right word, but you'll learn a lot from it, and it'll help you as you get older. I know it has for me, especially being personable and able to make friends easily, willing to talk to anyone. I think those are really great skills that you learn from having to do it, and forced practice, but it pays off. At least it has for me. And maybe you'll go back someday and do work for veteran service organizations, or at least have a passion about it.
Well, thank you. It certainly has benefited you, and you are certainly benefiting your communities and the veterans that you're serving in different ways, have served, and continue to lend a hand with. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I know you're busy. Anything you want to add? And then I'll let you go.
No, I think I covered it all. Thanks for having me. Happy to talk about the great work that those two organizations are doing for veterans, and then the great work that other organizations are. And I hope you can also include some conversation with a veteran, like somebody who actually has served as well, to hear from them. I think they can really shed a light on a lot of these issues that I can't really speak to since I didn't actually serve.
I just interviewed a veteran last night, and
Great.
And always looking, but yes, I did. I'll let you know when that's up.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Lasorsa, for sharing with us and for your time. Also, thank you to all viewers, listeners, readers for joining us. God bless you. I'd like to invite you to check out my website for more interviews with veterans, active duty, military, pastors, wives, missionaries, teachers, and authors. I also host content to connect culture's questions with Christianity's answers, to offer encouragement for the Christian faith and for the writer's journey. My upcoming series features interviews with law enforcement officers from around the country. I'd be thrilled if you join me on the journey and subscribe to my newsletter to receive my latest posts and news at tattooitonyourheart.com. And thank you, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks.